So I literally haven't done a long video in ages, but I feel like I literally just really want to talk about this because it seems really interesting to me. Um, I've literally seen loads of videos recently about attractiveness, attraction, men dating females. I think it is kind of interesting to talk about, and I think it's a tiny bit tongue in cheek considering the world is so approving of everything at the moment, promiscuity and looks and everything, and the world is very accepting, which has its benefits. Definitely, I definitely think it's good that we're not in a place where like you're kind of expected to be, I don't know, some way, and or like we're more educated about different people and stuff. But I also think it's actually really interesting to talk about attractiveness, because I think it's really important to be like confident in yourself. I definitely know that vanity is like the devil, because I literally just think vanity can be the devil, but at the same time having a healthy self-esteem is also really important. So let's just quickly, I did do a video already on this, but it was really vague and I was kind of like low-key in it, so I think it's gone off my channel. But it's the 1 to 10 of attractiveness scale. So I don't know, like if it's everyone's thing, but it is interesting to see for males and females, because apparently in dating and stuff, you're supposed to try and aim to be with someone that is like the same number as you in terms of like your attractiveness, but like loads of things can affect it. Like I think that is more for facial attractiveness, the 1 to 10 scale. And I think it's mostly about like symmetry and kind of stuff like that, because when you can get rated on the internet as well for your attractiveness in your face, and that's interesting. But I swear like most of it just works on like facial symmetry, like the size of your chin, the size of your forehead, your interocular difference, the distance between your eyes, which originally I was told that I had a wide interocular distance, but I also heard that models have that. People look for that in modelling, so I'm just going to be like, yeah, alright. But yeah, I swear like that's like what most of the attractiveness is based on, like symmetry and kind of proportion, and like lack of kind of like quote unquote facial flaws, aka having like a receded chin apparently is a facial flaw. Again, like this is tongue in cheek stuff, and some people may be offended by this, but I doubt that many people will, because whatever. But yeah, you can also have like I don't know, like a big nose or like bushy eyebrows, whatever. So that's another thing that can affect it. In terms of men, apparently, your score also changes depending on your height or your build, your weight. Apparently. I don't like using the word weight and talking about weight, so I won't talk about that because it can be triggering for many people. But let's just forget about that. But it can just be a factor, like certain other stuff for men and women actually, and that's interesting as well. And moving from like a less vain standpoint. Well, actually, to be fair, before I do move from a vain standpoint, let's just quickly talk about this as well, which is that, like, have you ever heard the thing about, I'm just, like, kind of spitting back all this stuff I've just been watching about it, and, have you heard that women sometimes will go for the top 10% of men, like, 80% of women go for, like, 10% of men that are, like, quote-unquote, like, just like super like attractive, and in the scale of like facial attractiveness would be like an 8, 9 or 10, and then like the rest of them, which are like below the 8, 9 or 10s, like don't get like hardly any interest, apart from if it's like, but this is from, there's apparently a lot of like genetic reasons for this, just because women's like reproduction and like pheromones and hormones and like lizard brain attraction, where like they get a lot of the attention. Not to say that like they'll end up like dating these men or end up like, you know, being with these men long term, but this is who like they would initially pick out of a lineup, and like that most of their energy would go towards if like they were to like have an interaction. And yeah, so I found that really interesting. Um, I think as well, like it's interesting when I've seen on channels made by men that talk about how men like talk about women and how like there's like these like rules and stuff that certain men like abide by to go into dating with, and how to like look at women, because obviously from a female's brain like this is not going to occur to me. I look back at like boyfriends I've had and stuff, and like I can't say that they lived from this standpoint, but I never know what men talk about. I don't really know, like it's not really my business, and I've never wanted to like really know, because always been a very much like a person of like, if you're a good vibe and I find you attractive and we get on and like I want to like hang out with you like you know, like that's the kind of vibe where you can have a lot of logic towards it, right, as a man as well, because I think women, it's like because women are more pursued and men pursue, like it's a case with men, they are more logistic about it, and it was fascinating to learn about. So apparently like men like care about like factors like your promiscuity levels, if you've cheated on someone, not necessarily promiscuity, I don't want to say it like that, but I mean like like say if you've got like an OnlyFans, that's what I mean by promiscuity, like your availability to other men, I think is what it is, whether you've cheated, whether you are financially independent, and factors like this, because, and then obviously there are things that put men off, and there are sad things I feel like that men sometimes do, like if like there's like, it's like some men like apparently that don't get like hardly any interest, or like they always get rejected by women, like it's just a really hard time like, and like if you get like certain men that are like average looking or something, like I'm literally quoting these videos, this didn't come from me, but I found it fascinating. Apparently when you get men like that, it's also like they will like compromise sometimes on certain standards that they have, because like they are not in the top 10%. So but then there's also like risks to taking to doing that. And then there was like this scenario I learned about where like there was this like, I'm gonna literally just quote the video here, but I thought it's fascinating, which is why I want to talk about it. There was this like quote unquote, I think she was like a 7 woman, okay, facial attractiveness and symmetry, let's put it that way, that a man was going to a club out with, this was the scenario, and then there was this like 8 or 9 girl dancing. Actually, I don't think she was 9. I think it was like a 6, actually. I think she was like a 6 woman going to a dancing club with this guy. And then there was this woman that was dancing and she was an 8, but she was really like promiscuous. And anyway, this guy ends up going off with this 8, and then is like, there's no like, and then the next day realizes there's like no chance of a relationship with her because she is so promiscuous. So there's this rule of like, if certain women are like more attractive, like physically or facially, not only bearing in mind that you may not be as attractive facially according to this scale, which is available on the internet, by the way, I didn't create this scale, but then they can be less like worth investing time into, because they might kind of only be interested in things that you're not if you're interested in a relationship. So as in like they might not even like want any interest in you, they might have just been drunk or whatever. It's kind of the vibe. But I found all this very, very interesting. But slightly moving on to a relationship standpoint, I also think like people act so differently as well, I think, depending, not necessarily from a level of, I think kind of on a level of attractiveness, but also from a level of like how you generally are, like from your core, like what your essence is, because I think we just kind of act how we act. I always think that narcissists are kind of like snaky, right? But I'm just trying to say that, like, you know, the way one person wants respect, another person will not actually want that level of respect. They will not want to reciprocate it. They completely function in a whole other way than other people do. And what I also find incredibly annoying, which I don't know why, I feel like I have to vent this somewhere, so this is the video for me to vent this about, but I feel like some people trigger me so much. Yes, I may be triggered and wounded in areas that I need to work on, but at the same time, some people, like, who are assholes in the world, trigger me to such a level, and I'm like, honestly, I don't know if they're fully aware of how triggered I am, and how fully aware, like, if, like the amount of, like, physical pain and harm that just goes through my mind sometimes when I think about the actual audacity of some people and the way that they will speak to me in such disrespect, and the fact they will not accept, you know, the way that they go about their lives is so different to me, and how, like, they're so not worth my time and energy, if you know what I mean. We're all human beings, okay? I'm all about the Bible and whatever, we're all children of God, blah blah blah, but some people, the way they function, the way they have friendships, the way, you know, because it's so easy to project yourself on other people, the way that I go about my friendships and the way I go about my relationships is so different to what the next person does. And their relationships may be based more on something completely different. They may go about their lives in some way that is completely different than me. And it's just so worth bearing that in mind and having confidence in myself, letting the fact that they aren't like me go, and letting that, because sometimes as well you can internalize things that people do to you, not only from a narcissistic level but from other levels, to say, oh, like, you know, this was the reason that so and so ignored me, or like they didn't treat me with this level of respect, or, you know, they didn't want to be my friend because this and that. And it's like, they just don't go about life the same way that you do. They don't value the same things. They don't care about the same things as you. They don't want the same things as you, you know, like, out of a relationship and out of life. So, like, what you would do is completely different, and therefore, you know, it's literally just a difference. Okay, regardless of people's intentions, like, people are so different. And this, I think the benefit of this is the fact, I am rambling, I'm going to stop in a minute, but I think the benefit of realising this is that it weeds down your pool of human beings in the world, because sometimes it's easy to be like, oh, like, so-and-so, yeah, I'm not friends with them anymore because they were whatever, and it's like, it weeds down the pool of people to say, these people aren't my people, these people act like this, so they're not my people. When you're at school, it's different because you've only got, like, a certain amount of people to deal with. But as much as the world is a massive place and people are deceptive, but also you have to get out and meet people to see what they're really like, it's easy to recognise, well, it's not easy to recognise, but you can say, it's about filtering that down and saying, the whole world isn't rejecting me, it's just they don't act like this, they're not like me, they don't do this. However, these attributes of myself I will embrace, and I will bring them out of myself, and I will be who I am, so other people like me will, like, match my vibe, and those are the people that I will want to hang out with, and vice versa. So I hope someone got something from this, but I found all this stuff fascinating, and I haven't done a chatty video in ages, so thanks for listening.